everything's better. So it's faster, more secure, cheaper, higher throughput, and has better price performance. Hex is up in 2020 right now, like 70 or 80x versus Bitcoin. And then it's been as high as, I believe, 140x this year. So if you'd bought in January 5th and held till now, you could have bought back 50 times the Bitcoin you started with and still had a sizable amount of Hex left. So it's just a vastly superior product.
Now, what do you contribute that to? Is that pure speculation or is that utility?
Well, cryptocurrencies were invented to remove middlemen. And for some reason, people forget that and they start adding middlemen back in. So right now, 42% of all Bitcoin sits in 2,000 addresses. Yet everyone talks about decentralization. The mining in China just moved because their seasons just changed and they don't have cheap hydroelectric in the north anymore, so they're moving south, and the Bitcoin hash rate dropped in half because the Chinese miners moved some of their machines. So the mining is centralized, the ownership is centralized, the development is centralized, and all of that's bad. All of that's not good. For the consensus layer of a network, you want decentralization. Otherwise, a government could just come kick the door in and be like, yeah, turn it off. That's the only reason cryptocurrencies exist, is to prevent that type of censorship. Oh, by the way, if you're going to have your mining machines centralized in a country, the country that has the most prohibitive internet in the world with the Great Firewall, probably not the right place to do that. So the reason that Hex has superior properties is, well, one, it was invented 10 or 11 years after Bitcoin was, so we had the advantage of all the learnings and saw the mistakes that they made. And two, it was just more ambitious to start. People don't realize how simple the Bitcoin network really is. It only has two functions. You can either mine inflation by doing hashing of things, which burns electricity, or you can send coins that you bought from some guy that mined the inflation. That's it. There's two buttons, mine and send. There isn't any other button. There's no other button. Mine and send. And it hasn't added any new features in 10 years. Now you could say, oh, well, what about multisig? Have you ever used multisig? Do you know anyone that's ever used multisig? Does your wallet support multisig? Barely anyone uses it. Oh, what about time locking? Oh, you're going to lock up your coins so that you can't spend them and it doesn't pay you any interest. What do you know? Not many people use that feature. So the only two features people use are mine inflation, and what do they do with the coins? When the miners get their Bitcoin rewards, what do you think they do with them? They sell them to pollute the environment, to dump the price. In Bitcoin, the miners take the rewards, pollute the environment, and sell the price down. And so
it doesn't seem to be a lot of incentive for miners to just keep holding.
Well, they don't have a choice because it's the economic model behind mining is that it should not be profitable because it's a commodity. So in economics, the cost to extract a resource trends towards the value of the resource as margins decrease. So when Bitcoin goes up in value, miners waste more money trying to acquire it. When Bitcoin goes down in value, miners shut off their machines because they don't want to lose money. And so as long as it's an efficient commoditized system, it shouldn't be that profitable. And historically, it hasn't been. Anyone that just bought coins has outperformed miners. Miners go bankrupt left and right, and always have. It's hilarious. Like, there's no, like, it's very, very hard to make money in that business by design. So, I mean, Bitcoin used to be free, and I mined it when it was free. Now, Bitcoin's not free. You got to send money to some third world country, and then what they do with that money doesn't usually turn out good.
So it sounds like to me that you're no longer, are you still bullish on Bitcoin?
Sure, I'm bullish on the price. I think the price is going to go up, but the technology is garbage. It's not even secure. People think Bitcoin's secure because it has a high hash rate, but they're dumb, and I could educate them. The bugs that cryptocurrencies have primarily are software bugs. The minority of problems in cryptocurrency are hash rate bugs. And by the way, it's a protection racket as well. Who do you think you're protecting yourself from when you pay a miner a fee? You're protecting yourself from him and his buddies because they're the only people that will attack you. Just like if you have a restaurant in a bad area and some strong thugs come in and they go, it'd be a terrible thing if there was a fire here tonight. You should pay us to protect you. It's the same shit. The people that you're paying are the people that would attack you. There's no other party that's sitting on a bunch of SHA-256 hash rate that you're protecting yourself from. It's a protection racket. It's gross. So in Hex, we don't pay miners block rewards. We don't pay miners to pollute the environment. You open one transaction when you start your stake, one transaction when you end your stake. There's no overhead in the meantime, and it costs pennies to $1. Like, it maybe costs $1 to start a stake, and it was cheaper earlier this year.
So were these so it sounds like these were the problems that you were looking to solve when you created Hex.
Some of them. I mean, I wanted to design the world's quickest appreciating asset. And in order to do that, I had to find an untapped market that no one else was addressing. We're the world's first time deposit. Is anyone else doing time deposits? Nope, it's just us. Okay. How has that worked out? The price in fiat is up 263x this year. Let me know when Bitcoin will show you a 263x return. It's not happening, not in your lifetime. Well, we did that this year, and we're set to do more. People don't realize how high cryptocurrencies can go. Bitcoin's up 2 million X from 1 penny to 20,000. Ethereum went up from 15 cents to $1,500. That's a 10,000 X, 2.5 years. So Bitcoin did a 2 million X, Ethereum did a 10,000 X, and now Hex is only up 263 X. These are real numbers. This is the reality. And, people are happy and hoping for some new all-time high in Bitcoin when it's up like, oh, okay, you got it 10%. Who cares? Are you in crypto for 10%? I'm in crypto for hundreds of percent, just like the good old days, man. Just like when I bought Bitcoin back when it was 30, held it down to 2. That sucked, but then it went up to 1,300. So lucky me, right?
So what's this run been like for you? I mean, you were in it from, one of the OGs. You were in this from the early days.
Yep.
What has it been like for you to see that all of a sudden, the carpenters start to talk about, hey, do you owe any Bitcoin to plumbers, to name the industry, from around the world? People now talk about it, but in the early days, it was just
it's entirely different
a couple
now.
thousand of you.
Back then, we were deciding what the logo would look like. We were deciding what the ISO code for the, what the little stamp would be like. The euro symbol, the dollar symbol, what the Bitcoin symbol would be. Should the logo tilt left? Should it tilt right? Things like that. And that was all people that cared about privacy and, putting people in control of their own finances. Today, it's entirely different. I believe 2% of all Bitcoin is owned by a company that only takes money from accredited investors in the United States. And then they also own 2% of Ethereum. And then everybody's happy that PayPal has Bitcoin, but they don't actually have Bitcoin. You can't deposit Bitcoin and you can't withdraw Bitcoin. So what do you actually have? You have a derivative. Is that good for Bitcoin?
And why do you think that is, though, Richard? Yeah, so when they make an announcement like that, but then they put on limitations, why is that?
Because they want to stay in the middle so that they can continue to enslave you and make money on your data and make money on fees and make money entrapping you into their ecosystem and shoving their partners' offers in your face. They have no interest in you having control over your money. They have no interest in you having the freedom to do what you want to do with your own money. The powers that be have no interest in that. They want to entrench themselves and stay in the middle and rent seek. And it's what they're used to doing for decades. So, the Bitcoin that I knew and loved was the one that was supposed to replace these guys, not empower them. Now, when you buy a bag of Bitcoin, the bankers own a lot more of it than you do, which is part of the reason I love Hex. The bankers don't own it. The people own it. Now, maybe one day that'll change, but today it's beautiful.